Pedro Marinho versus Mason Fowler. They touch him up. Straight to action on the collar tie for Mason Fowler.
Look at that. Shaking his head.
Shaking him up a little bit. Okay. This is getting really physical really early right now. I don't know if between the last time I saw Mason Fowler and now, but his quad size seems to have increased quite a bit. The guy's got tree trunks for legs.
Pedro's game on the feet, he loves to hang heavy on the head. He tries to kind of drag you into the deep waters, make you tired on the feet before he really takes his shot.
Well, and for a guy that goes heavy on the front headlock, that's a good tactic to wear out the neck. You go hard on the I'm going to call it a tie clinch.
Okay.
When he goes hard on the tie clinch, you're essentially wearing their neck out to where when you do decide to latch on that choke, it's compromised and it gives you a better chance to get the submission.
We've seen him distract with that collar tie, get a couple of off balances with his foot sweep game early. I got to think that's going to be a big part of what he's looking to do. Maybe get to a foot sweep, use that to get Mason heavy off to one side and grab up a single leg.
But it's going to be hard for him to wear out fatigue Mason Fowler because you got to remember this is a guy that just won the Fight Pass Absolute tournament. That just means he's got tremendous strength. He's very well conditioned.
And he's very efficient, too.
Yes.
That's the thing about Mason's.
Very, very efficient.
Nice foot sweep. Great timing there by Marinho.
Well, on the note of efficiency, there's nothing more efficient than a foot sweep like that.
Look at this, though. Mason using it to get into a leg entanglement.
I know R.J. Clifford sitting there salivating over that foot sweep. I'm a sucker for a good foot sweep myself. That was beautiful.
So Mason Fowler going to work from the bottom. His earliest ambition is to be a UFC fighter. Started BJJ and MMA at 18. So came to the game a little late, but says he not sort of burnt out in any way.
Yeah. It's interesting that Mason's working the knee shield, but with his legs locked.
And it's interesting to see Pedro still staying with this heavy on the head strategy, even as he passes the Z guard.
Yeah. If I'm Pedro, I'm doing exactly that. I'm going to reach underneath the right leg of Mason Fowler, try to pull the knee away from my belly, and try to walk my way past that knee shield. It's just so hard to get past. It takes a lot of strength. The strongest part of the human body is the quad and the glute. So you're having to use your arm to fight the quad, but you have to get physical to try to pass that knee shield.
Mason, there's that meat hook that you asked about, John, getting into his rubber guard game now, clearing the head. Hey, nice job by Pedro. Waited on the right moment.
Now I'm just waiting for the stoner pass at some point.
Listen, man, Mason plays more rubber guard than a lot of the high-profile 10th Planet guys do.
Well, and it's crazy, too, because you look at his build. He's a short, stocky, very buff guy. And usually you see a lot of the guys that play the rubber guard very well, a lot of longer, leaner guys.
It's just about the openness of the hips. It's a great heavyweight named Amir Alam. He plays the heavyweight. He plays the rubber guard. He hit 2 go-go platas at the last ADCC trials.
Wow.
Just crazy flexibility.
You know, his hips don't lie like Shakira's hip.
So Fowler predicted that Marinho was going to be twitchy. Instead of being twitching the head. That was like...
I like what Pedro's doing there. He's taking his right arm, posting his elbow on the mat, and you can see he's putting his hand on the back. And that's a good way to try to get your arm deep enough to try to get underneath that head, start attacking the front headlock like he's doing right now. Oh, look at him giving a noogie on top, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Roughing up the hairline of Mason Fowler.
That's a noogie.
There goes Mason going back to that. Going back to the rubber guard.
Yeah, not quite yet.
Not quite yet.
He was definitely thinking about it, but he wasn't going to be able to make that kind of play with the inside position that Pedro
had. A little hands to the face.
They like it, though. Look, Pedro brought a smile to Pedro's face.
See, when it's going like this, you can call it a fight. Ooh.
What about that wrist snap there, huh?
You know, if I'm Mason and my opponent's going really hard and heavy on that tie clinch, on that collar tie, that's a great opportunity to hit a slide by. Stop! When they're putting a lot of weight and a lot of strength into trying to control your neck, it makes it a lot easier to pop the arm off and hit that slide by. Like you can see right now, he's looking for over tie. You over tie the arm, and then you shuck it by. Get to a little back control. One thing that both of these guys aren't doing that's really effective from the tie clinch is you're seeing them lock around the neck. You want to lock around the crown of the head. When you get to the crown of the head, it makes it so much easier to get their head lower and essentially pin their chin to their chest.
Oh, another good foot sweep. Nothing going, though.
Oh, man. Do it again.
This is the perfect spot for that slide by while
Yeah,
Pedro's
right
got
there.
that left arm over the top of the tie clinch. Pedro's done a good job of being heavy, just exactly what you're talking about, being heavy on the head of Mason.
Action blue,
And
action
I
red.
really think he's starting to set himself up for some snap down opportunities.
Yes.
There's the slide by comes from this spot right here.
Yep.
We haven't heard this a lot this evening, but they've been encouraged for more activity from the sidelines, from the referees and judges.
Well, and I like what Pedro's doing is he's matching the physicality of Mason Fowler.
Yeah, Mason leaning out way out in front of his head.
That's snap down city. If you get him leaned out that hard, especially with Mason going so hard on the head
Keep in the middle.
and leaning out like that, pop and a snap, you can get him on the mat. Find a good opportunity to spin behind and take the back. Oh! Little right hook to a leg kick there. What that looked more like than a snap to a foot sweep.
And Mason's starting to get frustrated with those.
Yeah, and that's the last thing you want to do. You don't want to get frustrated, because when you get frustrated, you fall a step behind.
Break.
Hey, Pedro, remember the angle. Remember the angle. Let's go.
Go.
Let's go, Pedro. Let's go.
Oh!
Nice. I like it, Pedro.
I liked it, Pedro. He took his shot, but he didn't stay down there to find out what happened when he misses. He's right
yeah.
back to his feet.
Didn't admire his work.
Yeah, you don't want Mason Fowler.
Oh, this is his front headlock game here. He's very, very dangerous here, guys.
Oh, yeah. And he's smart. He locked on the chin, which was very smart.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different schools of thought on how to best utilize the front headlock, but a lot of the guys who've got the high-level front headlock game now, they love that chin
All right.
strap.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, no kicking, no slapping. All right, let's go. Go.
But some kicking and some slap.
Yeah, a little bit. And you think that'd be Mason's game, because he's a combat jiu-jitsu vet, if I'm not mistaken.
I can't remember if he did combat jiu-jitsu or not. I know he
did,
did
yeah.
Submission Underground. He had like 190 matches at
Oh, my
Submission
God,
Underground.
yeah.
I just made that number up.
Yeah, the COVID year kept him busy, that's for sure.
I think back in 2022, maybe he did his combat jiu-jitsu, Brazilian Nationals. No, sorry, I'm getting this wrong. But he certainly was an MMA guy when he first started out.
You know, the one thing that I like what Pedro's doing is he's not necessarily in a wrestling stance, but he's staying in better wrestling position than Mason, because Mason's keeping his feet very planted and he's leaning very far forward. And that's what makes those foot sweeps so easy, is if you keep your weight very planted on the mat and you're not moving them too much, all you got to do is pull them to step and get their foot off the mat. Just, boop, you just hit that little sweep.
Nice. I like it. Good. Nice overtime. Go for it.
Action red, action blue.
Marinho's got some good wins as well. He's beaten Craig Jones and Rafael Lovato Jr.
Let's work, Pedro. Let's work. Do the time. Do the time.
No, Mason, 1 minute. Come on, 1:30, Mason.
Pedro elects to jump guard and see what he can do from the bottom position.
Yes, sir.
This is very interesting. Looking for a deep half.
Stop.
Nice.
Let it go. Let it go.
It's going to be interesting to see how this restart goes, because he kind of kicked him off right as the ref was coming in to intervene on the single, but he puts him back on the feet. I like
Yeah, that's interesting. I think I would have put him back into that half guard position.
Yeah. Or at least put him back into where he's like kind of sitting up on the single leg. It's something, I don't know if the fans can see it, but from our vantage point, you can see that Pedro's taking his left hand on that overtie, and I like how he's putting the fist in the neck. It makes it uncomfortable. It's going to push Mason's head up, and when Mason goes to bring his head down, it's going to be a good opportunity to snap.
Pedro getting very upright, trying to goad Mason into taking an ill-advised shot, maybe. And there's
Well, that's what every guy that's good at a guillotine does. You just stand up and say, come on, take a shot, I dare you.
And go.
close guard for the last 40 seconds. Going to pull the pace down.
You know, one thing that maybe Pedro went to the well with too early is those foot.
Oh, Mason going back on a leg lock attempt. Pedro responds well. Mason wants this shallow ankle lock. He's going to try for it.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, Pedro counter.
Pedro drops on it.
Nice job by Mason following the knee line.
Great defense.
Last few seconds.
But back to what I was saying, you know, he got 2 successful foot sweeps in the first round. Maybe he went to the well too early, because now that we're getting into the point scenario, that would have been a great ace to have up your sleeve.
That's a really good point.
Let's take a look back at some of the action.
Oh, you know what you're going to see these beautiful foot sweeps. And I like what he did there. Gets to a position, almost takes the back. Right here, you look to see Mason. Looking for that rubber guard, going to the meat hook.
Yeah, he just lost that inside position.
There's that
early.
foot sweep. You know, he's just doing a good job. Mason planting his feet, just getting him to step with all that weight makes that foot sweep so easy. Just a lot of good sequences in this opening round. But like I said, it's just going to be interesting to see Mason Fowler. Is he going to be savvy to pick up on the foot sweep and take that takedown away from Pedro? Because if Pedro maybe would have saved one of them, just hit one in the first round, kept that ace up his sleeve for the second round, that could have been a big deal in this.
And you know what else? He hit it to the same side, same play both times. So Mason definitely going to feel that coming. I say that he might foot sweep him right out the gate here.
I'll be eating my words. And you know what? I wouldn't be mad about it, because I love foot sweeps.
5 minutes of overtime here now. Points in play.
Pedro getting
Oh,
the single.
oh my gosh, beautiful single leg.
Not a lie. It's not dead that did not establish control. They want you to have 3 seconds of control before you're able to score in this rule set. So they want to keep it so that you've got a chance to fight your way out of those positions.
Oh, then Mason drops
he's
to a
gonna
single.
switch to a single.
Mason drops to a single, but you see Pedro hook in the head. And that's the point.
Well, he's got to let go of that head before they score it, though.
So he doesn't get the points until he lets go.
Until the head is free.
And Mason grimacing a little bit there. He's definitely got some discomfort going on. He might.
Oh, he's going to score this one.
Yeah, he's going to score it. Mason locking his hands.
Yeah, Pedro's going to be forced to let go of this. Unless he can flip him
If he can
with a
bridge
big
and-
bridge back over his left, maybe.
Bridge and roll, which could be a little easier because Mason has his hands locked.
And because Mason has to keep his knees close to the play because the stage is behind him. He can't
Yep.
spread his weight back out that way so effectively.
We got two.
There's that too.
Wow. Just great wrestling sequences from both of these guys.
Mason keeping that lock underneath. He may be thinking about trying to set up a Darce here if Pedro has to turn and try to blast away from him to escape.
Just gonna move your head.
Don't say the Darce word in front of me. I don't like the D word.
Well, don't look at this. Don't look at this arm isolated right here. Whatever you do,
I'm having flashbacks,
Mason
guys.
may be trying.
I'm having
Yeah.
flashbacks.
Bless you.
as Pedro's arm gets higher and higher out of
Yeah.
position, his elbow comes closer and closer.
Yeah.
Mason's going to be. He might have a look at this Darce here for sure.
Yeah, he might. And if Pedro defends it, I'm going to ask him how. Because
He's gonna have to
I need
turn
to figure
away.
it out myself.
I mean, if Pedro's going to move, it's going to have to be to turn away.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's just got to stay flat.
Yeah.
And they're calling for action in the middle of his setup here. Here comes that can crusher. There it is,
There it
guys.
is. There it is. He might have it.
Pedro's keeping his back flat, though.
Yep. He's savvy to it.
Not completely out of danger.
No.
Definitely not, but
Action red.
man.
Now, since Mason's in a dominant position, can he get stood up if refs call him for action?
They can, but they were saying in the rules meeting that they're really going to favor put the onus on the defensive player to try to escape a bad position.
And that is how it should be.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to funnel everything towards submissions and towards offense, you got to force the defensive guy to do something he knows he's not supposed to do.
Absolutely.
Mason in a good position here with about 2 minutes to go.
Yep.
If he can, he's up 2-0. If he can pass again, oh man. Right into the mount too. He's gonna get 2 for the pass. He's gonna get 4 for the mount. And he's got a full exposure on this
he could go arm triangle.
Here.
He's swimming his hand to the side. Pedro trying to telephone block, which to me is not the best line of defense when you're telephone blocking. To me, if I'm Pedro, I'm taking my left hand. I'm gonna back slap the mat with the back of my hand as I bridge my hips and try to pummel my arm inside.
Mason creeping closer and closer to this finish with 90 seconds to go.
He's got to get his forehead a little higher than Pedro's to try to create that shoulder pressure to close the space and get that arm triangle finish.
And he really wants to sink his left shoulder down into the artery. He's getting a little closer to the game here.
He's got to inch his head forward, turn into him a little bit, and he gets the arm off.
Oh, this could be it.
This could be it.
In trouble.
He gets that telephone block, and I'm very surprised that Pedro's electing.
He's going to take a shot at it right here. This could be it.
Oh.
I mean, you heard that big,
Don't move your head.
big gurgling breath down there from Marinho.
Give me your arm. Keep your arm here.
I'm just very surprised. Like I said, why is Pedro going to the telephone block? He should be, you know what I'm talking about. When you bridge and back slap your arm straight, you can swim your arm inside and get to an underhook.
I say, okay? All right, and we go.
Oh, this is a big problem for Marinho. His arm is way out of position. Mason stepping off, creating an angle. He's got good positioning with his left shoulder. I think he's going to get the tap.
He gets it.
Oh, what a win!
Mason Fowler, dude. Perfect. 5-0 in FPI competition. Gets it done in overtime. Good job. A lot of appreciation for Mason Fowler in the building tonight. Regulation time was a little bit scary for him in moments, but he gets it done in overtime, B-Mac.
Look at the way he uses his shin to stretch Marinho's hips and move him away from him to keep Marinho flat on his back. And the escape that Chiesa was talking about would be Marinho trying to bridge up and over his left shoulder here to try to free his elbow back to the inside of the lock. But when Mason dismounted, he used his shin to push the hips away, and that helped him sink his left shoulder down onto the artery. What a finish, man. Mason looked questionable for a little bit, but man, that was a great finish.
Let's make this one official. Here's Justin.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have your winner in overtime by submission via arm triangle, Mason Fowler.
What's up, my friend?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
A little tired.
I can tell it was. That's what I was just going to ask you about. That was a very physical match. Right from the onset, you guys are really pushing, shoving, little hands to the face. Was that the physical match you anticipated?
Yeah, that's pretty much what Pedro does in all of his matches. He's really tough and he's really hard to score on. But we saw that after about 8 minutes, he will start to fatigue a little bit. So I was playing a little more cautious in the first few minutes, and my only goal wasn't to score any positions on him. It was just to tire him out because he's so strong and explosive. It's hard to get anything going early on him. So once I felt he was fatiguing, then I really started to turn it up.
And turn it up you did. It was a beautiful finish. Look, you're 5-0 at the Fight Pass Invitational. You got to have some names in mind. Who do you want to fight here next, and are they here in-house?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I've been chasing Gordon Ryan for the past 3 or 4 years. There's another guy that's been chasing Gordon Ryan too, so maybe me and him can show it down in the meantime. I think me and Nicky Match would make a great rod. Me and Nicky Rod would make a great match. So if he's down for it, I'm down for it. I know the UFC wants to make it happen, so I think that would be a super exciting match.
What do you guys think? Do you think that'd be an exciting match?
Well, I want to be the main event here at the UFC Fight Pass Invitational. I've been on a lot of shows. I love this promotion. I want to be the main event and get on the next card.
Well, why don't you talk us through this finishing sequence, and when you're done, the guy to talk to is right behind me if you want to get that main event. So why don't you look up here and talk us through this finishing sequence?
Yeah, I was looking for the head and arm choke the last few minutes of the match, but at the same time, I didn't want to overcommit to it and lose the position. So I held it. I tried to finish. When he exploded, instead of overcommitting, I would just reset the position, try to get the arm back across. And my patience paid off. You know, he exploded out of a couple of them, but then I was able to get the finish.
Well, it was an amazing match. It was a lot of fun, and it's always great watching you compete. Give it up for Mason Fowler.
Strategic and patient from Mason Fowler. 5-0 now at the FPI. That is wonderful stuff. Looking for that main event spot, and why not? A matchup with Nikki Rod potentially in the future. And look who's in the building. Tatiana Suarez, she loves us some wrestling. Great to have her